Well, good afternoon. I'm Dan with Four Winds Ancestral Skills. Today I'll be talking about a super easy tea you can make out here in the woods using pine. Got a lot to do, so let's get started. Alright, real quick about pine needle tea. It's a super easy tea to make. The different types of pines grow pretty much all over the world. There's a lot of different types of pines, but the vast majority of true pines are edible. You can drink the tea off them. But pine trees have a lot of benefits. They have 5 times the vitamin C of an orange, actually. They have some vitamin A, some antioxidants, and they taste pretty decent, especially if you don't have any kind of alternatives if you're just out in the woods. Now, a quick warning, always make sure you know what you're consuming. Like I said, most pines are safe, but you want to make sure, number one, it is in fact a pine, and number two, it is in fact a safe pine. Another caution is pregnant women should generally avoid pine needle tree. It's not good for pregnancies. Now, the whole pine tree is technically edible for the most part. Obviously, you can't eat just the hard wood. I'm not going to be going into the different uses of the pine tree right now, other than the pine needles themselves. With the exception to say, if you find them early in the spring, oftentimes they'll have these little buds coming out right here. Now, when these are really small, these are actually technically edible too, and you can just pull those off and eat them. They actually taste pretty good. So, very pine flavored, if you couldn't have guessed. Now, when you're making pine needle tea, you really don't need a lot of the actual pine. This here is way more than enough. But you can just strip it off. For personal preference, I like the younger needles in general. They usually have a little bit less bitter flavor, but they're still not bad. And then what you want to do is kind of go through, and the ones that are dead, the brown ones, get rid of that. If you picked a decent branch, usually there's not too much of the brown ones, but it's good to get those out of there if you can. And then I like to kind of line them up. And then on the back end of the pine needle, you'll see these little brown parts where they connect to the actual branch. You just want to pull those off. Now you can cut them, or you can just kind of rip them off, like so. And then you're left without those little brown sheaths that the needles come out of. Alright, now that you've separated the little sheaths from them and cleared out the brown ones, you can rinse these off real quick, dump a little water from your canteen or something on it, and then some people will tell you you have to cut them up in little pieces. I don't really do that. I just kind of mash them up in my hands like so, and that really allows the oils and nutrients and stuff like that to leach out of them. The reason I break them up like that and don't cut them is when I am making tea out of them, I'll just take these, throw them in the hot water, and let them sit there for a while, and then I pull them out. And if you have them in little tiny pieces, they are a huge pain to pull out. Whereas if they're more or less intact, you can kind of scrape them out and scoop them out. And you just stir it a little bit and give it a few minutes to steep. The water will usually become kind of a light reddish brown in general, but it depends a lot on the pine needles as far as how dark the water actually gets. Well, there you have it, pine needle tea. Prost. Really good, very refreshing. Well, I appreciate you watching. And if you have any questions, you can always email me fourwindsancestral@gmail.com, or use the comments below and post your question. As always, check out my website, fourwindsancestral.com, and we have a Facebook page and group, and you can find the links to those down below. And if you did like this video and you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and hit the notification bell below. Well, I appreciate you watching, and I hope to catch you again on the next video. Anyway, I'm Dan with Four Winds Ancestral Skills, reminding you to get out there and make history. Take care.